guys, welcome back to another week of building the Caldercraft HMS Victory. As you can see, this week we're starting the second layer of planking, which is done in walnut. They're 5mm by 1mm strips. They bend quite easily, so I haven't had to wet or heat any to bend to this point anyway. So I've done 15 planks here. We'll do 15 planks on the other side this week, and that's roughly probably just over a third of the hole done. So then in the following video we'll see if we can finish it, or at least go close to it. So our starting point is actually the top of the middle whale. I'll show you how we have to work that out. We have to take measurements from the plans to get that exact starting position. So I'll turn the ship around, get the plans out, and we'll mark out that first plank. Okay, to work out where our first plank lies, this is the middle whale that travels down the side of the ship. That's our first gun port at the rear. So all I had to do was measure from the top of the gun port to the top of the whale, which is 8mm. So I measured down from the top of the gun port 8mm, and that gave me that point just there. And on the plans it shows that the top of the plank is nearly level with the top. It's nearly level with the top of that window. So it gave us a rough idea of the sweep up. When we put the plank there, we'll be able to manoeuvre it into position. And then the second gun port, is 10mm from the top, which I've measured again, 10mm, and then done that for each of them until this gun port. The line actually sits only about 2mm above the bottom of the gun port. It goes through the entryway 4mm above the bottom of the entryway, and then from there to the front of the ship it sits exactly at the bottom of all the gun ports. And at that point I just got a plank, lined it up, seeing all of these are the same height. It tells us that if we put the plank all the way around, move it back a bit, then that gives us where the plank needs to sit. And I can't turn the ship anymore this way because I'll run out of room, but when I check that out, that lines up exactly with the first plank I have on the other side. So we'll start laying these planks out. First thing I'm going to do is work out the angle to start the wood at. Where have I put my glue? Just a moment. Okay, this is my first time doing a second layer of planking. In theory it should be easier than the first. I've asked a few people what they use. Some people say they use contact glue, others use quick drying white glue. The instructions actually say to use CA glue. So I'm going to just follow the instructions this time. If it's too messy or anything, I may try something else. So yeah, I'll just put some CA glue on here. Start off with a little bit. What I'm actually going to do now is, so I don't make a mess, I'm going to lay this ship on its side and then glue it from above, which should make it a bit easier. So I'll move the camera. Just going to go in sections. These, where they go over the top of the gun port opening, we'll be trimming those up. Once we get down to these gun ports, once we get past the top, I'll just be cutting the correct length so we don't have to cut them out, just to preserve the perfect shape that's on there at the moment. And then at this first plank, I've just cut it about half the length of the ship. Then each plank we do, I'll stagger where we start and stop each layer, so we just don't get a line running through the same spot all the way down the side of the ship. Okay. Got some glue on this plank. I'll actually set the camera up better for the next layer. I'll just work out where I'm going to cut it. Before I go any further, I'm just going to open up the bottom of these gun ports where the first plank just covers a little bit of the bottom. As you can see, I've already done two. Before I I took a measurement of, where is it? 12.31 millimeters is the height of the gun port hole there. So when I put it, sort of blocking the view, aren't I? So when I put it against there, I can get a light mark showing where I need to trim down to. I don't think that's really come out on camera that well. And I'll just take it away slowly and then finish off by filing it down. Just check it regularly to make sure it's just the very corner a little bit. Okay, so that one's correct. Let's check the next one. As I work my way along, it gets less and less that we have to take out. Until eventually, once we get past, this one, the rest of them sit just below the gun port, so those ones will be fine. I'll do one more in colour and then do the rest on my own. This one doesn't need too much. Okay, so I'll go on and do the rest of them, and then we'll continue with the planking down the side of the ship. The second layer off, got the bow. As I said, they're really flexible planks, so you need to heat them up and bend them. Plank needs to sit up nicely against the rear gallery there. It's not much of a shape that you need. I've already trimmed that so it fits nicely into that corner on there. Let's get the next one so it fits in there nicely. So that's the first 3 layers done. I'll put the 4th one on myself, and then I'll come back because we're going to have to start trimming a little bit at the top of these gun ports, and then when I do the layer after that I'll do it on camera because I'll actually just be placing planks between here and then just sanding it back nice and square. Okay, it's mainly the front half of the ship that we've just got to open up the top of these gun ports. Again, I measured a full one, and it's the same as before, 12.31 millimeters. I have to take a huge amount out. one more on camera and I'll complete the rest. On my first ship, the Sleer Rail, was the most disappointing thing I did on that was I didn't get the gun ports exactly the same, and it was noticeable, and it's one thing I straight away notice as soon as I look at that ship. So this one, I'm determined to get them all exactly right. Okay, so that's another one done. So I've got about 5 more of these to do, so I'll get that done and then we'll come back when we start planking the next layer. Cut a section of plank that's just going to go from front of the bow to, oh, it's hard to see there, isn't it? It's just going just past the start of this gun port, and then I'm just going to file it back so it's nice and flush, and I'll do the same thing between each other gun port. I know a lot of people would just plank around and then cut it, but I get paranoid that I'm going to cut it incorrectly and it'll mess up the look, and I know when I do it this way it works 100% of the time, so it's one of those things that I guess I do different. In fact, with a lot of the planking I tend to do things differently. I just do what works for me. So then I'll just mark the next one. Just double check that I haven't cut it short. Okay, I've planked up to this point. Going back now, we're going to be starting to get a bit of the pattern above the gun ports. So I'm actually going to lay one strip over these and then trim it out as I have been with the earlier ones. So I've already cut this one to shape. I'll just lay that in position. That we're filming, we're going to start a slight change of direction. For instance, on this side, I don't know if you can see it, this plank here actually terminates at this point because the plank wants to start curving up instead of following that straight line. So I allow the plank to do that, just trim it off so it fits neatly. The next one comes a little bit further, next one further, and then finally the fourth plank we're back up against the stem of the bow, and then the next lot of planks under that we start trimming one side of them. So we go from 5mm planks down to, I think I worked it out, about 3.8mm, and then that should come down nice and evenly, and then when we bring the planks up from the bottom it should be fine. So I'll bring this back around here. Because my OCD won't let me do anything except make sure that it's exactly the same on the other side, I actually marked where that first plank is going to finish up, which is there, and then that will go around, and then the next one further on. So we'll start putting this on, just getting some glue ready. See, I probably could have just started trimming them a couple of planks ago and we would have been alright, but I didn't do that on the other side, and by the time I realised my mistake, this is the way I had to do it. So I want the front to look the same on both sides, so I'm going to literally make the same mistake again, but deliberately. We don't have to do any more trimming, at least for the first half of the ship, on the gun ports, because this plank sits just below it. The rear half we will have to trim one more plank. Oops. I don't want that to finish directly below a gun port, so I'll finish it halfway between. Okay, So the next plank towards the stern of the ship, in fact the next three are going to be identical to what we've been doing. So I'll do that one on my own, and I'll just show you from the front for the next 3 or 4 planks. The second of those shaped planks, in this case, now starts 40mm from the bow, or the stem rather. I know I was looking it up, and apparently the rule is you shouldn't ever trim a plank to less than 50% of its width. So I've broken that rule with this, but once we're back against that stem, then I'll go to a more traditional proper type of tapering. As I said, I'm doing this because I basically made a mistake on the other side. I know on the screen this looks like a gap, but it's not. That's just where a little bit of the super glue has seeped through. Once we sand that, it'll just be flush. Okay, I'll just do the back again and then return. This is the third one of the shaped planks, which is now going to within 20mm of that stem. So once we get the next one in place, things will go back to normal. They'll just be tapered after that point to about 4mm or just under. Okay, this is the last of those shaped planks. As I said, after this point we'll just do normal tapering. We'll just hold that one there with a pin, just pushing that into the first layer so we don't damage the second layer, or that plank anyway. So that'll just hold it for a couple of minutes while it does dry properly. Next plank I've tapered down to just under 4mm. starting back by the second gun port hole, and that is what I'm going to be doing from here on out. This will actually be the last plank I show from the front for now. We're going to be switching to the stern of the ship, showing how we come up underneath the curve of the stern. Okay, so after this, as I said, we'll switch to doing some planks at the stern. Now we're moving across the stern of the ship, meeting up with this part on the back here. So we just have to trim the plank to the correct angle. Okay. Like that. Let's go through. Now I've got a pin here somewhere. Just use that to hold it for now. The second plank exactly the same. I've already trimmed this one. one thing we'll have to do next video before we start working our way up the where the stern post goes, is we have to sand this back again as we did before the first planking, so that when we put the stern post on, the second layer of planking is level with that stern post. But we won't be starting that till the next video. So we've got 2 more planks to put in, and then we're up where the other side was. This is the final plank that will get done this week. Good chance that the next plank we put on in the next video coming down this way, we'll actually have to put a steeler in there because this plank's wanting to bend further over, so we'll have to allow for that on the next plank. Okay, just give me a minute to get this all back up the correct way and we'll end this video. Okay, we've got 15 levels of planks put on both sides now. So that's 30 for this video, which isn't a bad start. I'd say we'll probably take 2 more videos to get it done completely if I do a similar amount again on the next video. It'll need a little bit of sand, but it's not too bad. The planks are pretty consistent in thickness. Bring this around here, and the front's coming out nice and even as well, so which is what I like to see. So anyway, that's the end of this video. Thanks for joining me, and hope to see you next time. Cheers.